Welcome to another fire episode of the Mobile School Podcast. Remember, don't like, don't share, don't tell your friends, don't do anything. Just watch and move on and watch some kids or watch some podcast about Twitter, what happened on Twitter, about some Sangoma. Like, that's the content that South Africans are really obsessed with, like some stupid shit. And a lot of people can say, oh no, don't say it's stupid, it's how we relax. And that's very true. And today's episode is about kids that are bored out of their fucking minds. So, rest in peace to all the kids that died in the Eastern Cape, where they suspect that there was a gas that suffocated them. And all 22 or 20 of them passed away. May their souls rest in peace. It's never fun when kids die. And then you have people who are like, oh no, what the hell were they doing in a pub, in a tavern? They were like 19-year-olds, 15-year-olds in the tavern. The kids are bored. The kids are bored. So we have a generation of kids. If you're a 15-year-old, that means you were born in around 2010. No. 2013, 2014. If you were born after 2010, let's say 2005, that means today you're like around 17 and you grew up. Actually, when you were born, the first iPhone was introduced, not the first phones. Not the first smartphone. The first smartphone was a Blackberries because they had emails and all that stuff. But the first smartphone, when Steve Jobs came out and said, hey, this is the new phone, that was 2007. We were born back then. So it's crazy that you guys grew up and by the time you were kids, you were given phones. So you play with your phones, you get your distractions from your phones. But then what happened with the phones was that social media came about. And then what you saw on social media were your parents. And what you saw with your parents, it wasn't like some positive stuff. Your parents were not posting themselves jogging, hiking. Nope. If you go to any parent's story on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and you see what they were doing like 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago, it's alcohol. It's tables full of alcohol, them dancing to Sister Bettina. But these are kids who grew up seeing parents doing alcohol activities only. No sport because we don't have like facilities. And even if we do, we don't have people who are dedicated enough to say, hey, I'm gonna spend my afternoons to train kids about netball, about football, because the parents probably don't want to pay like that 25 rand that will make them feel like, my kid after school doesn't spend time on their phone chatting to 45-year-olds sending them toes. So it's really sad like those kids died, but we have to look in the mirror as South Africa. We have an alcohol problem. And you can say anything you want to say. We have the highest murder rates on weekends. That's alcohol. People are not killing each other on Tuesday, unlike in a lot of countries where the crime rate is high and there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of hospitalization. Our shit happens on weekends, and it spikes after the 25th and the 1st when people got paid. That means it's alcohol. So we need to have a way where we can say there has to be a lockdown on alcohol between the 24th and the 5th. That's the only other way to deal with this shit. Lock down alcohol, stop selling alcohol to kids. And you can sit there and say, oh yeah, but when I was a kid, I used to also drink. Like, yeah, but at least you used to hide. Now these kids are not hiding. These kids are not hiding at all. Like, they're enjoying themselves in front of their parents. And you can look at your picture with your dad giving you a beer when you were a kid, but you were not going out at 12-year-old. Yeah, we used to go to fountains with our families and they would give us Hunter's Gold. I'm that old. Hunter's Gold and you go to the corner and drink it. But that was like once a year, December. But these kids are drinking every weekend. They're following in our footsteps, but very differently because they don't care. They don't have punishment. We used to be scared if you got caught. But this is not the time to say, oh, the parents need to do better, the system needs to do better. Every dog for himself. The kids are bored. The kids are too bored. We spoke about this in our last event when we were talking about filmmaking, where we tried to get kids to do like movies using their phones, to do news, like pretend like they're TV presenters, like debate shows using their phones so we can showcase them at our outdoor event. We spoke about these opportunities. Like we need to let these kids go out and work with their hands. That's why we're working on an e-waste project where we're trying to get these kids to get out of their houses, come to a factory or a space that we have and teach them about electronics. Like, hey, this is a kettle, this is a fuse, this is what it does. Like, that's how you teach people, by showing them. Instead of this new thing of like sending them YouTube links, they need to use their hands. The kids are bored. The kids are bored because most of you think that teachers are the ones who should entertain them. And as soon as you get tired of dealing with them, you pass them your phone so they can get on TikTok and do stupid dances. But that's what you think is happening on TikTok. I've been on TikTok for almost 6 months now. I haven't seen more than 2 dance videos in a day because the algorithm understands that they need to tell me, like, people of Reddit, what's the one thing that nobody knows is true, but people think it's false, and then it's some story about a matter that happened. It's never like dancing kids. The algorithm understands. But now, if I'm a pedophile, you have to understand, I will go on TikTok and look at kids dancing so I can jerk off. And that's the danger of us not trying to get involved in these kids' lives, because the kids are bored. The kids are bored because all the attention they need, they're getting on their phones. Those little likes that they get, the little engagement that they get when they're dancing, doing stupid shit on TikTok, it adds something in their mind. If you don't believe me, after you get paid this weekend, instead of going to drink and buying a 6-pack, take your kid out. Take him for a drive and take him to take a hike. Just a 1 kilometer hike, and then come back, have a pizza with him, have a picnic. And you'll realize the whole week, that will be the highlight of his life. So if you don't do those activities where you are involved in their life, all the attention they're getting is from TikTok. They now are on Instagram without you even knowing. And then you are going to wake up and start blaming the social media platforms. The kids are bored. The kids are very bored. I'm not saying like I'm a serious speaker, like this is a podcast about kids being bored and how we should save them. This is not a podcast, guys. I keep saying this is not a podcast. I'm not a podcaster. In the words of Claude Mtswene, I'm an independent TED Talk. Havash.